What is going on, everybody? It's episode 864 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis actors. It's Mary. I hope you enjoyed the new Crisis Party sound yesterday because it's not going anywhere. And this was by my own mandate. I am standing on business on the beach. Okay? I'm not taking any of your shit. That's just, I'm sorry to start with such aggression, but that's how I feel.
There would have been a fantastic moment to share with everybody yesterday when the show went off the air. A crisis party triggered inadvertently when Mary was doing some work after the show. She was just typing on her computer, and the crisis party went off. And if you don't know, like when you do this show, the crisis party is just a giant speaker, and it's way louder when you don't have headphones on, which actually drowns out some of the sound. A lot of times the people who are working in this building who are upstairs will complain about the sound of the crisis party because it's so damn loud. But she did not have headphones on, and complete by happenstance, I was still recording after the stream because I had not canceled it because I had done the stop on Rumble. So I stopped on Rumble, I stopped on YouTube, but it was still recording on OBS. And she did not flinch once. It was actually incredible.
Not even a millimeter.
Not even a millimeter.
I was like literally just like this.
Yeah. No, you didn't even look up. You just kept working through it.
Feeling.
Like, and there was no...
I'm just dead inside.
And there was no warning ahead of time either, so it wasn't something that you could like steel yourself for and prepare.
No, I'm just dead inside.
She's just dead inside. That's okay.
I'm glad that wasn't live though.
I mean, well, no.
If that were live, that would be awkward.
Well, that would never have happened because we killed the stream on the YouTube end and on the Rumble end, but here on the OBS end, it was still recording. So, but yeah, better that it wasn't happening live. So we got a bunch of stuff to get into today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. But hit the like button on this video, please, as well, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. And if you would like to do so, please, just for me, share the video out with your friends and your family and your loved ones, and even in the people in your life that you don't like very much, because when you share the content out with them, they can yell and complain about it online, and then you guys can go both fight about it in the comment section, which will increase our engagement, which helps us. So you're helping us, you're arguing with people. It's what everybody wants in life. So you should go ahead and do that. And what are we getting into today? We've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. There is more Bonnie Blue news. We never hesitate to cover stories involving Bonnie Blue. I saw somebody in the chat said, Mary will always like to talk about Andrew Tate. No. It's Bonnie Blue that gets the clicks.
I can't even remember the last time that we talked about anything related to Andrew Tate because most of it is legal drama.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't really know what he's up to these days, other than debating Bonnie Blue.
Maybe
which it's funny they call it a debate. They basically became BFFs instantly because they agree on everything.
So we're going to talk about that. Also, Mary drew my attention to this absolute horror story of Vanna on the show Love Island USA, who's getting a lot of hate online because she's had extensive plastic surgery done despite the fact that she's like 21 years old. So we're going to talk about that, and we also talked about Materialist on Monday, starring Dakota Johnson, in which she is a professional matchmaker to the rich and famous. Well, we're going to talk about the actual world of actual rich, famous grifters, in this case, matchmakers, and we're going to talk about that.
I wouldn't characterize them as grifters. I think they know what they're selling, and their clients are well aware of what they're selling, and everyone is in a very transparent exchange of
I might
goods.
believe that too until I read this article and saw how they categorize success.
Well,
yeah. So we'll get into it. We got a bunch of other stuff. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go for it.
Katy Perry has been publicly unraveling for several months now, whether it's her failing tour that wasn't selling any tickets and all of the theatrics and just crazy stunts she was doing to try to sell tickets, or perhaps the infamous girl boss space launch with Blue Origin. Countless things that she's done to try to stay relevant, and none of it is working, and she's in her flop era. And it was confusing at first, but now I think all of the pieces are falling together. It's all starting to make sense. And I think it might be because behind the scenes, her relationship with Orlando Bloom was on the rocks. And now they have reportedly split after being together for all of 9 years and engaged since February 2019. They began dating after Katy Perry's short-lived marriage to Russell Brand in the early 2010s. And then they briefly split, got back together, got engaged in 2019. They had a daughter together named Daisy in 2020, right in the midst of COVID baby boom. And, you know, maybe they delayed their marriage because of the pandemic, but more likely is they were just going through relationship problems and didn't feel like it was a good idea, and ultimately they split up. Now, the reporting on this is kind of funny to me. They say reports suggest their relationship may be ending as of June 2025, with multiple sources indicating the couple has been living separately and facing tensions, particularly following Katy Perry's Blue Origin space launch and the reception of her recent album and tour, which was disappointing.
Wait, so he broke up with her because her music sucks?
Yeah, are they trying to suggest that he's breaking up with her because she's flopping, or are they trying to suggest that she's flopping because they're broken up? I can't really tell if it's the chicken or the egg.
I suppose the real version would be like her music is flopping, so it's making her angry, which makes her miserable to be around. But it's funnier to think that he's like, your new music just kind of sucks and I don't want to be with you anymore. When
you look at photos of Katy Perry from the past year or just in 2025, you can kind of see that there's just nothing going on behind her eyes. Like, especially
Rick Caruso lost and life lost all meaning.
In their last photos together at the Oscars this year, she just looked like a husk of a human being. And one reply said, "I'm not surprised. Everything Katy Perry has done recently, from getting really into crypto to going on the private space flight, has immense divorced guy energy." That's what it is. She's going through a divorcee midlife crisis.
Wait, she has...
That's what explains all of this unhinged behavior.
She's the one with divorced guy energy?
Yeah.
So she bought a Lamborghini and went off and did a bunch of stuff that she never would have done otherwise, except for she's not a guy, she's a girl?
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is hard. What did I just see in the chat? Yes, it's hard for an astronaut like Katy Perry to reach a man higher up than her, says Nomification.
You know, I think Orlando Bloom was just jealous. He was just jealous of the Blue Origin space launch. He wishes that he could be a part of it.
Those Lord of the Rings royalties are definitely paying for a Blue Origin space launch, okay?
No, but he's not going to get any of the same praise because he's a guy.
Well, yeah, you can't send a guy on the girl boss space trip.
Right.
It doesn't have the same ring to it.
Another
and
reply
plus,
said,
he was outdone by Jeff Bezos, who was like right there at landing to like let Lauren Sanchez out.
Right.
So he doesn't have maybe that's what it is. Maybe after talking to Lauren Sanchez, she's like, well, her husband's a billionaire and you're just a millionaire. And now he just feels really, really kind of emasculated because Jeff Bezos is worth like $1 gazillion.
I mean, I think Jeff Bezos might have felt emasculated by tripping into the dirt while trying to open the hatch.
No. I mean, like, he'll just... I'm sure that footage has already been scrubbed from the internet.
Then another reply said, "That nun she killed is whooping her ass in the afterlife. OMG." To be clear, Katy Perry did not actually murder a nun, but she was in a long, drawn-out legal battle with a convent of nuns, and one of the elderly nuns that was fighting for retaining ownership of their convent instead of letting Katy Perry purchase it, she actually did collapse and die in court.
Wait, so this is kind of interesting. So Orlando Bloom is going to the Bezos Sanchez wedding,
yes.
Not Katy Perry, or are they going separately?
True. These are facts. Orlando Bloom coming in hot and single for the Bezos Sanchez wedding. He plans to party hard now that he's a bachelor again, and it seems like Katy Perry might not go because of the fact that he is attending. One of her fans said, "Breaking your fiance's heart when she's in the middle of a world tour is being targeted by online bullies instead of showing her support and insisting to go to her best friend Lauren's wedding alone when she told you not to is weird and narcissistic AF. Katy, baby, I'm so sorry."
Is there any proof that anything that was just said is true?
Their theory is that Katy Perry specifically requested for Orlando Bloom not to attend the Sanchez-Bezos wedding now that they've split up, because primarily she was invited because she's friends with Lauren Sanchez and now bonded with this woman forever after the Blue Origin space launch. Orlando Bloom doesn't really know them that well, but he's just going so he can party and maybe hook up with someone at the after party. That's
the best version of this I can possibly think of.
Seems likely.
We love Petty King.
Yeah, a lot of people are taking note of the fact that they were engaged for such a prolonged period of time, and that's not something that you just see in celebrity relationships. It's something you see in ordinary people as well. People who are either dating for a very long time before getting engaged, or people who are engaged for a very, very long time before getting married, if ever getting married.
Yeah.
So, typical stuff in our postmodern era.
John Durham says, gotta love the people in Venice telling Bezos to take his woman and get married somewhere else. I've seen a lot of people covering this lately. My favorite, though, there are some business owners coming out and being like, no, please come here.
Yeah.
Because we want to actually make money.
They have every incentive
to want. It's a tourist town.
Yes.
It's a place for tourists. I also saw that Bezos is playing like shadow games, booking out multiple venues, which ironically enough is just another sign of opulence, so that they can't come and be annoying activists. You know?
If it's a, 5-day long event.
3-day.
Whatever it is. If it's a multiple day long festivities, I understand why he would be booking multiple venues. That just seems like something he was planning to do anyway.
I'm Team Orlando Bloom on this one. Just go. Like, it's not like it's preventing her from going. So she can go. If she wants to go and bring some fly-by-night date, she can do that.
She should go to the wedding, but bring a +1 in Russell Brand. She should make Russell Brand her
No,
because
he's married now. He can't do that. She has to bring...
They wouldn't just go as friends.
Somebody that Orlando Bloom doesn't like. That's what she has to do. She has to bring somebody that Orlando Bloom doesn't like, and he has to go and hook up with one of her best friends.
Orlando Bloom must be pretty unproblematic because I don't even know anyone he's had beef with.
Yeah, he is extremely unproblematic, at least unless I'm forgetting something huge.
But if he broke up with her for flopping in her career, that is absurd because he is far from
nobody believes that he did this
an A-list actor. He's not
been
in anything for years.
He was part of a franchise that will have as much of an impact on men as Katy Perry's music will have on millennial women.
I suppose you're right.
So, and
you have a daughter, you should work it out. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're unhappy, you have a child together. You were already planning to get married. Just get married and work it out. It can't be that serious.
Josh Chandler says, show up with Pedro. Which one? Like, who should show up with Pedro Pascal? Orlando Bloom or Katy Perry?
That's an open question.
It's a very good question.
I mean, Pedro would be more interested in Orlando Bloom if I had to guess.
All right, let's move on then. More to talk about.
After the success of the Barbie movie in 2023, predictably, all of these studios are scrambling to make their own version of the Barbie movie. And now Amazon MGM Studios has started looking for casting for a Bratz doll live-action movie, which I think is idiotic. They already had a live-action Bratz movie back in 2007, actually, which I believe was made for TV. And I mean, maybe it's not the most world-renowned film in the world, but I don't think that you really need to try that again in current year when little girls don't even play with these dolls anymore. Kim Kardashian, of course, knowing that she's been compared to Bratz dolls for years now, she is now being eyed to play the villain in this movie, and she's also finding more and more success in transitioning to scripted acting roles. She was in American Horror Story Delicate alongside Emma Roberts last year, playing a publicist. She's also in a legal drama playing the head of a all-female divorce law firm. And that's just so perfectly written for her. It's not even funny.
The thing is,
it's called All's Fair.
If Hollywood still had their creative flair, it would be an all-female law firm that only represents men.
They don't have the creativity.
It would be really funny to watch one where they, like, using their cunning and understanding of the female mind, screw all of the gold-digging women.
Yeah, I don't know if Ryan Murphy is interested in telling that story. And then she's also rumored to be eventually cast in the MCU as...
That's never going... Well, okay, I don't know about that.
As Mystique.
That's not going to happen.
That was one of the rumors.
That's not going to happen.
Why? Why are you so sure?
She's not a good enough... She's not a actor enough to do a role as important as Mystique.
Okay, I mean...
Like, they're not going to
I don't think they really care anymore.
I do. I think at the very least for those
Marvel's just a total dumpster
for the
fire.
big title characters, they'll get better actors or bigger actors.
I haven't seen her act, so I just can't even place a judgment on that. You know, have you watched her act in anything?
Only clips.
Or are you just judging her prematurely?
It's not a judgment of her ability to act. It's saying that you would have to have a pedigree as an actor to get a role like that, or a nobody at all.
Yeah, you would either be a nobody or an Angelina Jolie. So
yeah, she's not a nobody and she's not an Angelina Jolie. Thus, she's not going to play Mystique, in my opinion.
Okay, remains to be seen. She's also leading a Netflix comedy called The Fifth Wheel from Ava Longoria.
She was the one who made the Hot Cheetos movie back in 2023.
Yeah. So she got a second chance. I just think it's kind of too little too late to make a Bratz movie, though.
No.
Girls don't play with these dolls anymore.
It's not for girls, just like Barbie wasn't for girls. It's for millennial women. It won't be for...
Okay, fair, but are they trying to make the Bratz doll movie into a think piece? Like, is that what they're going for?
Probably. I don't know what it would be.
The Bratz dolls just don't have the same cultural influence and history that Barbie dolls have.
They will make it in the
Bratz
vein
were invented in the 2000s.
Then you make it in the vein of Clueless, rather than...
Like, what does that mean?
You make some type of story that's similar to Clueless. What was Clueless? A movie about teenage... It doesn't have to be deep.
Clueless is deep. What are you talking about?
But I'm saying, but it doesn't have to be deep.
It's based on Jane Austen's Emma.
Okay, then you do Bratz
But you just
dolls
think that it's shallow because...
No, I love that movie.
It's, because of your misogynistic framework about chick flicks.
Valid.
It's actually really deep.
That's valid.
I guess you needed to be educated today.
I did see that Stacey Dash has been making a comeback on Twitter, so maybe we can...
Really?
Yeah, she posts.
What is she doing?
She posts a lot on Twitter these days.
About politics?
Pictures of herself and and stuff she's working on. So
just random stuff. She's not like doing a political thing.
No, not that I could see.
Interesting.
So, Bratz movie in the vein of Jane Austen.
Kim Kardashian is also obviously way over the age of the characters. I don't know if you know the lore, but
I don't know the lore.
The main cast of Bratz dolls is Chloe, Sasha, Jade, and Yasmin. So they're 4 girls, and they're teenagers, okay? Now, I know Kim Kardashian isn't playing one of the main 4, but can't they just cast young people in something like this? That also seems like a miss.
That seems like
me.
they could do that. If she's playing a villain, then they can cast the other 4, the main ones, regular age.
I doubt they will.
You don't think so?
They will. They're just going to put Sydney Sweeney and Daisy Edgar Jones and
no,
who knows?
No,
they're just
going to
put they're going to put women in their late 20s to early 30s at the youngest.
Late 20s,
which is
how old is Madeline Klein?
Kind of lame. Madeline Klein, I forget
Dove
how
Cameron.
old she is. Late 20s.
Dove Cameron's like 26 or 27.
Yeah, she was supposed to play Bubbles in the live-action Powerpuff Girls, which never came to pass. And then she was also rumored to be cast as the live-action Rapunzel, which still hasn't been announced.
Yeah.
I think she looks a little bit too Instagram model-y to play a Disney princess, so maybe the Bratz movie would work for her.
Indicating a villain means that it's not going to be... Because the other thing that... if it's MGM, it's going to be like a theater movie, then it's not going to be like a biopic. Which, that would be worse if they did like a biopic about the creation of Bratz dolls.
Yeah, I would watch like a Netflix series, like a 3-part docu-series about the making of the Bratz doll, but I wouldn't go to a theater to learn about the history of it all. There's not much to be told. And I remember in my childhood, I had a clear preference for Bratz dolls over Barbie dolls, but I had to like really be persistent to get them. Like, Barbies were just considered more appropriate, girly, and appropriate for children. Brats were always seen as, like, the slutty ones who wore belly shirts.
And the makeup
the makeup was heavier and more noticeable. I had to fight for my Bratz dolls, I remember.
In the chat,
I loved the animated ones, though. Like, the animated Bratz movies were good enough. I don't think we need to adapt this into live action.
Then that's what they'll do. The
point of it is that they look ridiculous.
They'll adapt a live action version of it.
No, they don't need to do that. The entire point of a Bratz doll is that it looks ridiculous and would never translate on screen in a human form.
In the chat, Mr. E49, well, I guess 409, but it'd be cool if it was just E40, says, things nobody asked for. That's apparently not true, because it says that there was a fierce bidding war for this movie.
Among studios. Doesn't mean that the audience asked for it.
They clearly have, well, these studios are very data-driven now, and they use all sorts of algorithms and numbers to determine what to make. So clearly they looked at the success of Barbie in 2023, and they're saying that we're going to turn this into the next big franchise.
Fantastic. I still hope that there's no Barbie sequel from Greta Gerwig. I don't want it. Leave it alone.
I don't know if that's possible. I mean, I guess it is. I feel like we would have already been hearing about the sequel by now. I know that there were talks about it, but the best way to prevent that is like her husband being like, no, we're not doing this. Like
Whose husband?
Her, Greta Gerwig's husband, because he helped write it.
Oh, right, because they wrote it together.
It was Noah Baumbach, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he just needs to be like, we're not doing this. We're moving on to do a Polly Pocket movie.
Right,
and
with
then they could do,
Lily Collins, right?
They could do a Polly Pocket movie and a Mighty Max movie, which was Polly Pocket for boys, and they could do them simultaneously, and they could release them at the same time.
There were also talks of other Mattel products getting adapted into films, such as Hot Wheels cars.
Yeah.
And maybe that game Sorry.
I don't know what that would look like, unless you want to make
look stupid.
Unless you want to make some type of social commentary about annoying millennials who have board game nights.
Or like, I think they own Uno. They could make like an Uno movie. Like, what would that be?
Some type of survival horror where you have to like Uno reverse to not die. I would watch that. There's a 20 there.
From Luscious Lucian, hear me out. Sydney Sweeney as Mystique. She can't act, but men will flock to the theater just to watch the movie with her, especially when all men she's naked, just painted blue. The movie will make millions easily.
The worthy successor to Jennifer Lawrence.
That's what people thought would happen to Madam Web, but she was barely.
I was gonna say she
utilized
is like,
for that one.
She is like Glenn Powell in that she has evolved her career to not need the bump of superheroes. Yeah. That isn't really a bump anymore. Glenn Powell, like the last movie he signed on to do like some Ron Howard movie about firemen. Like, he's picking his projects deliberately to not be kind of sidelined into specific genres, which I appreciate. So, but you could put her in the Bratz movie, especially if she gets to be a producer and turn it into some annoying think piece.
Well, I think Kim Kardashian actually is on board to produce. Mm-hmm. So she is planning to make as much money as possible off of this.
She will. And MGM in general is already struggling given the fact that they're talking about the recasting of James Bond and they are going to race swap him. Supposedly.
The infamous Bratz doll blackfishing scandal from the Kardashian family. Look at that.
Yep. I forgot about that.
Amazing. That's a piece of history right there.
Yeah, it is.
But they couldn't decide between Clueless cosplay and Bratz cosplay.
I see the Clueless cosplay.
I don't want overlap in any degree between
Clueless
those things.
is coming back in too. We were at Target the other day and there were Clueless mugs in like the dollar section or the $5 section. You know, the place at the beginning with all the deals.
Well, I guess that means no one wanted it.
No. It's new merch. That's the whole point. They have like the bargain price stuff at the very beginning, start of the store. It's not clearance stuff. It's just stuff that's priced that way.
I will forever love Clueless.
There you go.
It's one of my favorite movies
Clueless
ever.
is a fantastic movie. All right, let's move on.
So you can feel however you want about Candace Owens. Say what you will about her. I know she's been deemed controversial, but you cannot deny she is a talented woman, and one of her very special talents seems to be instigating feuds with mainstream celebrities in Hollywood, and usually musicians. This time it's Lizzo. So Lizzo is back from her career hiatus. For a while, she was taking some time off to focus on her health and lose a lot of that extra weight. Now she has announced the upcoming release of her mixtape, which I believe is called My Face Hurts from Smiling. And on the cover, she's just flipping the bird at the entire audience. And one of the people that she decided to diss on this new album, which is not out yet, is Candace Owens. And this was a song that she did featuring SZA on the upcoming release. And we don't know the title of the song yet, but she shared this snippet very pointedly. She wanted to make sure people heard this line. Let's play it and see if you can tell what she said. They look idiotic in this. Like,
So they have the lyrics at the...
Yes.
Sorry.
So this was Lizzo's line. City girls up, boys on their period. Candace Owens somewhere pissed. N-word, kiss my woo. N-word, get bent.
Yep.
It's really intellectual heavyweight stuff here.
Yeah. It's a bummer, too, because
I'm floored.
SZA does have a great voice. So it's
yeah, she does. She's talented. I mean, they both are talented. So it's like, why do you need to do this? This is just cheap. And I love the idea that Candace Owens was only notified that she was mentioned and not told what the lyric was, because she tweeted about this after it was reported saying, "I'm truly flattered, Lizzo." Heart emoji.
Oh, I think she knew anyways. I don't
Not
think
like she cares, but I love the idea that she's just totally oblivious.
Does using an actual heart mean that she means it, or would it have only come across as sarcastic if she had done this?
the heart hands emoji
like
would be different.
That feels more sarcastic to me. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, I would say imitation is a form of flattery, but also insult is a form of flattery.
Well, yeah, I mean, it means that they're on their mind.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Candace Owens is living in Lizzo's mind rent-free. And I looked into their history of beef. It's actually quite extensive. Lizzo and Candace Owens have been involved in a notable feud played out across social media. Candace has been critical of Lizzo, particularly regarding her body positivity advocacy, which is ironic given that Lizzo has now put those days behind her and decided to lose weight and be healthy again. In April of 2023, Candace Owens commented on a nearly nude photo of Lizzo that was posted by Lizzo, criticizing the fat acceptance movement, and she suggested at the time that men would never lie to each other the way that women lie to each other about what's beautiful, which is probably true. She escalated it in a podcast appearance in March of 2024, accusing Lizzo of gaslighting her critics, who took issues with public displays during her performances, including that one weird moment where Lizzo revealed her bare ass at a basketball game. Remember that?
No.
I think it was at a basketball game.
It's not ringing a bell.
She just started twerking with her whole ass out.
And
there were children present.
Never mind.
And it was just, I don't even care if there were children there or not. You just don't do that. That's just indecent. That's obscene. And especially because it's just taking up so much real estate on the camera. You know?
Did she ever get so far as to be one of those people ask? I guess she can fly private, so she doesn't have to worry about whether you have to buy 2 tickets or 1.
Oh, she does. I mean, we know Lizzo flies private because she posted a photo next to her private jet wearing assless leggings.
I remember that.
That was great. So Lizzo has put those days behind her. She also responded to Candace Owens on social media, sharing an Instagram post where she stated she does not have thick skin, and that criticism deeply affects her.
Wait, she said that about Candace?
That was kind of a vague booking at Candace, I would assume. But then later on, you're going to act so unbothered and you're dissing someone from the sidelines instead of actually talking to them.
I mean, Candace wins in all of these instances
She
anyways
does.
because it legitimizes her and makes her mainstream.
She's the best at it in, I think, the entire conservative media landscape. I don't know what it is about Candace Owens that just, like, she's able to just worm her way into celebrity brains and they can't let it go. And I looked through the exhaustive list of all of her celebrity feuds and it's absolutely insane how many of them have engaged with her when they don't need to. Harry Styles is one of them. She's beefed with Cardi B, Sexy Red, Beyonce's mother. Lizzo, of course, is on the list. JoJo Siwa is on the list. And, I mean, there are countless others. I'm not even going through the whole list here.
Yeah.
But they just can't seem to let it go with her. Like, when she criticizes someone, it burrows deep into their psyche, and they have to address it.
I wonder why that is. If it's just the nature of her words are more cutting, or if there's something about her specifically that makes it so much more acceptable for mainstream celebrities to engage with. Because I feel like a lot of times the celebrities don't want to engage with them because then they're just acknowledging that they exist and they don't want to even bring them up in the same conversation.
The best response would be, you know, someone asking you, oh, did you hear what Candace Owens said about you the other day? And you could be like, who?
If they were like,
if you were smart.
if they went to Lizzo and were like, did you hear what Charlie Kirk said about you? She'd be like, who the hell is Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, she's not going to know who Charlie Kirk is. She might know who Ben Shapiro is.
Maybe, yeah.
Like, but she's not going to know who Charlie Kirk is. Or, like, you know, at that level of fame for those types of celebrities.
Yeah, for some reason, Candace Owens just, like, really gets them triggered, like, more than anyone else.
I wonder why that is. And she has a following now that goes well beyond the mainstream as well. People who wouldn't even, or that goes well into the mainstream. People who would not. I have friends who don't like right-wing politics that follow Candace Owens
because of her pop culture stuff.
I'm assuming so. Like that would be my guess. It was one of those things where one of a couple of the people that were like very upset when I came to work here, or like they follow Candace Owens. I'm like, that is interesting. That's very interesting. Like,
yeah.
I guess the benefit of the doubt is that maybe their views have changed, but also it could be that they disagree with her, but find her takes interesting enough to go and listen to them.
Yeah, that's
which is the sign of somebody who's good at their job.
Incredibly impressive to be able to reach people on the opposite side of the aisle.
Yeah.
And actually make them listen to you.
I suppose it's also possible that maybe because she tends to go on the deep dive course with stuff she covers, that one thing that she went deep into might have interested them in that way, and it's got nothing to do with.
But then it sends them down the Candace Owens pipeline.
It's the alt-right. It's the alt-right.
They're getting radicalized just because they followed a YouTuber who was talking about Blake Lively.
Yep.
And I'm not kidding. There have actually been journalists who fear-mongered about Candace Owens' coverage of pop culture.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that didn't even end up working because Blake Lively won.
Well, it's a little more nuanced than that. Maybe we'll cover that in the coming days or weeks.
All right. What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
You decide.
Okay, we'll start with cringe. We'll start with cringe of the day first here. All right. Oh, no. I like how it says tank and it's supposed to look like steak.
Oh, right. Yeah, this is a clip from Sam Hyde's new season of Fish Tank where they're going around introducing themselves. It's absolutely gold.
Here we go.
So this might sound weird, but I'm a 4th generation dream prophet and a 2nd generation baby psychic. So it sounds so weird. So listen, my family is Native American.
Thank you for sharing, Bert. You did a good thing. You helped a man discover himself.
So this might sound
This is a 4th generation
weird, but I'm a 4th generation dream prophet and a 2nd generation baby psychic.
A 2nd generation baby psychic.
Yeah. I guess
You know what the hell? Sure.
So is a baby psychic somebody that can only predict things with babies?
But
or is it a baby that's a psychic but he's grown up now?
Right. It might mean.
And is a dream prophet seems pretty self-explanatory, I guess. Maybe he has prophetic dreams about the future.
Oh, okay.
We should get him on the show.
Yeah, it could either mean that you're a baby who is a psychic, or you're a psychic that can only read babies.
What about a baby prophet and a dream psychic?
You know, I bet he's also a star seed.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a growing community of people online who believe that they are star seeds.
What does that mean?
It means something about like being interdimensionally connected to aliens or something. Like they think that they're like genetically connected to aliens somehow.
Would that be
I don't really know.
Ian?
Actually, I wonder if this is like in the dictionary yet, because it got really popular on TikTok when people were going through like COVID psychosis.
Why hasn't Ian been on Fish Tank?
He should. I would love to see that. Okay, a starseed, it says, is a person who has lived previous lives, usually extraterrestrial lives, and is believed to have a profound connection to the cosmos.
Okay, well, you know.
They're conduits between other realms and Earth, with an otherworldly spiritual aura inhabiting their human form. So it just means like you're super duper special.
Then we need, I mean, like, then he's perfect for Fish Tank. And we need
great.
Ian on there.
Starseeds are often seen as activists, healers, or catalysts for social change.
Well, I already hate him.
Great stuff.
Yeah, that's nothing to brag about. Zero of that was anything to brag about. All right, cute of the day. This one's from Layla. Says, this is Wally. Although I don't actually know this cat's name, she has been living in the Walmart garden center by my house for a while. She only has one ear, but doesn't seem to mind. She's the sweetest.
Aww. Little one-eared cat.
There's a one-eared cat in our neighborhood, too, of one of the pack of 3 that hangs out at the local city hall. And they all hang out there, and we go down there, and Olivia gives them treats, and they kind of commune around the food. And then somebody else who lives behind the city hall leaves whole bowls of food out for them that they probably get spoiled with because none of them are fat enough because the bowl is enormous and full of food all the time. But that is a very cute cat.
You know, that happens because they get in really brutal fights.
Oh, yeah, I know. Unfortunately, these 3 clearly don't because they
Sadly.
hang out together. But the one we were talking about, like, literally you could see at a point, like, it was very hurt. But it's still around, and it's since healed.
They're tough.
Yep, they just hang out.
They have 9 lives.
All right, let's move on.
2 of the worst people on the internet decided to link up for a collab. It's Andrew Tate and Bonnie Blue. They sat down for a conversation. Some people are calling it a debate, but I would say most of it was Andrew Tate and Bonnie Blue kind of just agreeing with each other and catching a vibe. I almost feel like they should get married because they are 2 sides of the same coin. These are 2 nihilistic, fame-hungry people who made a fortune off of pornography. They have a lot in common, and I think they discovered that in this almost 3-hour-long discussion hosted by Rob Moore. And it was supposed to be them duking it out over their core values. Andrew Tate saying that what Bonnie Blue does is evil, and Bonnie Blue defending herself. And I just didn't see any of that in the clips that were posted, and I wasn't going to torture myself by watching the whole thing uncensored. First off, they posted these promotional photos for the podcast before its release, where you see Bonnie Blue on the floor looking up at Andrew Tate with her tongue out, captioned, "Feminism destroyed modern women." And then Andrew Tate promoted the debate with a highlight reel.
This one here?
It kind of gets across the main message of the whole thing.
Here we go.
I think we should do a breeding competition. We'll see if you can get a girl pregnant quicker than I can get pregnant.
I mean, that'd be a good competition. I think I still...
So do you think you're a good role model for women?
I'm a clear example of what women have fought for years.
Girl power.
They are, though. Women are stupid.
They're stupid. So Bonnie's just the smartest. She's the Wall Street banker of this whole shit. Okay,
Well.
So do you vote?
No.
Okay, she's perfect. This is the kind of women we need. This is done.
So Bonnie's a hoe.
I don't want to insult Bonnie Blue.
You can't insult me.
I mean, you called her a hoe when I last talked to you.
No, I said she was a whore.
I mean, if you had an 18-year-old son, would you send him to me on his 18th birthday?
No.
So serious. Right, Rob, on your son's 18th birthday, I'll be stood on the driveway with a balloon and a happy birthday card. I'll take his virginity, but I'll take him to a safe, controlled environment. I'm not going to cry and rape the next day.
Rob, you should do it.
Okay, would you send your son to Bonnie, age 18 birthday?
I don't need to, but you need to. Like,
Andrew, I do father and son as well.
do you?
Yeah.
No thanks.
Brother and brother?
No,
Bit of double
no way.
penetration?
You're not trans, and I knew you weren't trans. 100%.
Is that because you've had multiple wanks?
No, it's...
Or
You're
is
not
that because
trans.
you left this at my last event? Oh, you don't want to touch?
That was actually a good call on him, because if he grabbed it, that'd have been a horrible look.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you might be thirsty. You want to rinse it for cum?
Bonnie. Rob, the world's fucked. They're all like this.
Okay.
I mean, from what I can tell, Andrew Tate is absolutely smitten with Bonnie Blue. They seem to get along quite nicely. And they agree with each other on a lot of points.
Yeah. Well,
That was the impression I came away with.
His general idea is that she is the end result of what happens when feminism takes such a hold on society.
Okay, well, she's also maybe an end result of a business like one that Andrew Tate ran himself.
Yes.
A cam whoring business.
Mary asked me who's better, Bonnie Blue or Lily Phillips, and I said
Who's more likable?
Who's more likable? I said Bonnie Blue because she's better at her job. I appreciate competency even in the most horrendous of circumstances.
I would say Lily Phillips is more likable because she at least appears to have feelings. Bonnie Blue comes off like a total sociopath.
Yeah, that's her job. Her job is to be sociopathic.
Well, okay, that doesn't make her likable, though.
it's
You,
like,
in order to be likable, you at least need to have feelings.
It's like when a CEO talks about, like, everybody here is a family, and these are our company ethics. I don't want a CEO to talk about company ethics.
Okay,
or
well, Bonnie
being a
Blue
family.
definitely pays lip service to how her business is ethical. I want to show this clip of Andrew Tate explaining why he likes Bonnie Blue.
Okay.
If you were to look at it selflessly, not about the ant, but about the ant farm at large, that keeping women's horizons more narrow so they focused on rearing children would be better for society than the current society we're in, where we have to import a whole bunch of fuck-knows-whos into the country to try and maintain a population because the white people aren't even having any fucking kids because the white women are too busy sucking dicks in Magaluf.
Did you understand that?
To a certain degree, but I also couldn't give a shit. The world's going to shit anyway, so whether or not we've got more kids in it or not, it's fucked regardless. So just live your life the best. You're going to be dead in however many years anyway.
Fair.
So don't stress too much.
Fair. And this is what I like about Bonnie Blue. Bonnie Blue is my favorite. This is my favorite everything. Fair. Because what you just said, I understand and I agree with.
But it's selfish.
But what have I
But
said?
why should I not be selfish? Why should I give a shit about someone else that pays less tax than me, has, you know, sits and complains, makes shitty TikToks about me? Like, I couldn't give a shit if your life's going to shit. By the looks of it, you live in a council house, you've got a couple of kids with different dads. I don't care. So why should I sit there and think, fuck, I should do something to help you? I don't care. I should focus on myself. And if more people did that, the world would actually be a better place. But they become so fixated on other people. I'm like, where's your life? Why are you not focusing on yourself? Like, look in the mirror, you're fat. Go and do something about it. Your teeth have that much plaque on it. Like, you're fucked. Like, there's no way out for you.
No, but what
Is this a good role model?
No, yes, because no, but what
No,
Bonnie,
yes.
No, what Bonnie's saying is important here, and it's not about what she's saying, it's about the general attitude. Because what I want to make clear, the reason society was run by men for so long is that men have a different biological instinct to women, and we're prepared to suffer for the greater good. Women are not very good at suffering. Men are good sufferers.
Look back at the wars. There's so much evidence of it.
Well, of course. And also, let's just look at the normal family. You talked about these men who come and see you, right?
Yeah.
But happy wife, happy life is true. And the reason it's true is because if the wife is unhappy, everyone's miserable because she'll make sure of it. But if the man's unhappy, everyone else can be happy. He'll suffer. He'll sit with no sex. He'll go to work every day.
Yeah.
He won't see his friends. He'll be miserable. He'll be depressed. He'll still pay the bills. He'll still pay the taxes. And everyone else gets to be happy. Men are good at suffering. Women are spiteful sufferers. And for that reason, they struggle to do anything. They struggle to suffer themselves for any greater good. Men have always died for a greater good. Men have always said, this is bad for me, but it's good for society. Bonnie just quite correctly, quite pertinently highlighted the fact that she believes in living her life the best way that she wants to live so she is happy. And I agree with you. That's what you should do. That's fine. If you're a woman, that's how women think. Women don't think I shouldn't do this because I care about society by and large. Women don't think that way. And once you understand that logic, you can extrapolate that out to the fact that women shouldn't be in charge of a country ever, because women are not prepared to take a bullet for a country ever. But would you argue
Do you have any initial thoughts on that discussion?
I mean, that level of nihilism is always ripe to be kind of dissected and turned into some type of intellectual fodder, because the idea of what they're saying is so depressing that in the format that they're doing here, which is a long form discussion, it denotes breaking down and going into deeper thought on. I thought what he said was, you know, this is what I said that Andrew Tate is good at. He's very good at dissecting and verbalizing his ideas, whether you agree with them or not.
Well, he's good at making a story.
Yes, what did I say earlier? I said he's very good at editorializing. He understands what the story behind his idea is and conveying it to you, which is a skill set in and of itself. But that type of nihilism is not good for anyone to endure long term, even if there's some truth in what he said at the end.
I just think it's hypocritical of him to draw this distinction between himself and Bonnie Blue. Bonnie Blue is saying, the world is fucked. I'm going to do whatever I want and whatever makes me feel good and happy in the moment. I don't care about anyone else but myself. And Andrew Tate says, like, oh, that's how you feel because, you know, you're a woman and all women feel that way. Me, however, I'm sacrificing for the good of society.
But did he say me? He's saying men.
Bro has never done anything for society. Yeah. He lives entirely for himself and actually would rather actually be a net negative for society by running a porn business and building his fortune off of the misfortune of others.
But that's what I mean by saying, like,
especially his male audience.
His ability to weave a story around larger concepts separates him from what he's talking about. So he doesn't have to actually engage in any form of self-ownership.
Yeah, it never comes back to his own
and that's
life.
That's a skill set for people who are public speakers, right?
People
for
get so
like
engrossed in his wordsmithing that they're not going to even remember who's saying it.
Yeah.
They're gonna like be so enthralled by the way that he crafts this argument that they forget who is posing it.
Yeah.
And it does fall apart when you look at his personal life and the way he conducts himself. He conducts himself the exact same way that Bonnie Blue has.
But that is only if you're the type of person who looks at something like this. And not everybody does. What I mean is that not everybody looks at the words somebody speaks of and says that it has to come from a person who perfectly embodies it. Is that what it should be? Yes, it should. But in the age we live in now, there's so much media, so much information, so much dumped on you every day via the internet that it's not like you go and look in deeply into and I'm not saying like you, the audience. I'm saying the average person, they hear something that sounds enthralling. They hear something that sounds educational or smart, and they don't think about who said it. Like, how many times have you seen a clip from somebody at a TED Talk that sounds smart and you're like, oh, that was kind of clever, but do you go and like research that person to see who they are and whether they actually live the values that they're preaching? We don't live in a world where that matters anymore because it's all about output. It's all about your ability to sell your ideas. It has very little to do with whether you live those ideas or not. You should, but that's just not the reality of the world we live in.
Hence, you know,
the success of
Joel
people like this.
Osteen, perhaps. I want to also go to this second clip of Andrew Tate analyzing why someone like Bonnie Blue exists and what she represents. Okay. Basically, the fact that Bonnie Blue exists proves that women as a whole have been societally conditioned into these behaviors, and it doesn't come naturally to them to behave the way Bonnie Blue behaves. Go to about a minute in, actually.
Elena's dad in the chat is actually right. It says most people just watch clips. Yeah, most of this content is designed to be consumed in 1 to 2 minute clips, not with the larger context.
Logical imperative. It's for 4 or 5 women, and I took care of 4 or 5 women, and I was with all of them, and they were exclusively only with me, and we had children over and over and over again. That's my biological imperative. It's actually against the female biological imperative to do what Bonnie is doing, I would argue, traditionally. But that means you break paradigms. That's great. But feminism and society and this brand new societal conditioning is convincing women that what they're supposed to do, which is find a man they love and be obsessed with him and get pregnant from him, is the wrong thing to do. Well, then let's all just become sex workers now.
But you disagree with that feminist part?
I don't have an opinion, Rob, because I have 14 criminal cases. I don't have an opinion. I'm just here. I'm a commentator. That's a really...
Doesn't that mean it's your job to have an opinion?
That's a really interesting dichotomy there. I don't have an opinion. I'm just a commentator. I can't separate those two.
They're not separate.
One of the things that I think about all the time is like just by the amount of things that we talk about in a given week, or the stuff that's talked about on IRL, and then you have to go on X and have an opinion there. Is people have takes. I'm consistently impressed by how many people I know with well thought out, interesting takes about a variety of stuff. Most of the time, I hear everything and I'm like, eh. Like, I have to struggle to have an opinion on a whole bunch of stuff unless it really, 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 really interests me. Most of the time. Most things don't. There's very, very few things where I care about it enough, where I want to go deep into depth, think about it, and then develop a nuanced, long-term perspective on it. But his job, and the job of many people in this space, necessitates that they do that, and you don't always have the time to really get as invested. Like, if you're on X, your benefit is to just say whatever comes to your mind first, and then let the chips fall where they may. Maybe the story ends up different. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're wrong. But that's not any type of actual intellectual honesty. It's just spewing whatever the first thing that came to your mind was. And your success is dependent on whether or not you're good at it. Has nothing to do with truth or honesty.
His point that he's making isn't the one that you're making, though.
No,
he's saying, I don't have an opinion because I only care about myself and I care about no one else but myself.
No, I understand.
He isn't saying, you know, there are bigger issues to worry about than Bonnie Blue.
Well, he said there are bigger issues. His issues. His own personal issues.
His issues are paramount. But I want to finish this clip here.
Commentators have opinions.
I don't have an opinion. No, I don't have an opinion. Women can do whatever they want. Women are fantastic. We live in this great society now where women are girl bosses and better than us, while also are equals at everything, while also everything they do they regret was a man's fault somehow. As Bonnie described, they were tricked into it. So we live in this impossible situation where a man can't possibly win anyway, no matter what opinion he had. But I'm just saying it would be unprofessional and hypocritical of me to sit here and think that Bonnie is doing anything different or anything bad or anything wrong when she does the same thing 99.9% of Western women do anyway. Okay. If a man...
Yeah, I think that this is just two people having a nihilism off. Like, they just don't care about anything but themselves. And they agree on that, and they kind of formed a strange, unexpected alliance over how self-absorbed and nihilistic they both are.
Not even unexpected. This is exactly what I expected of something like this.
Not unexpected, but most people, including Andrew Tate's own fan base, expected this to be a heated debate where Andrew Tate was just going to absolutely drag this woman. But that's not what happened, and I noticed that a lot of Andrew Tate's own supporters were speaking out against his decision to debate Bonnie Blue.
When's Tucker going to talk to Bonnie Blue? That's Bonnie Blue. That's what I want to know.
I hope never. Here's one. It's crazy what Andrew Tate is doing. I never imagined that someone like Bonnie Blue, a self-proclaimed prostitute, could have such a strong influence over him. To be honest, I'm really disappointed. Another fan of Andrew Tate said, this is a social media views win, but a effing community and moral loss. Awful to see this. I followed you for years before you were famous. Utter shit decision on this one. Diabolical, like you need the views on a single video. Another fan said, I never in my life thought I'd say this, but this is the first Tate L I have seen. Giving her attention to hundreds of thousands of people is shameful. I'm flabbergasted. Another one said, you're such a LARPer and a liar. Having her with you there is going against everything you have ever said. I guess getting caught on Shane lying got you to this. You're broke.
The same thing was said about Tucker when he did an interview with Andrew Tate.
Not quite.
People held him to the same standard because it was right at the time when the trafficking charges were coming out. They said, why are you talking to this guy? Why are you laughing with this guy?
I think that you're conflating two different responses because most of the people criticizing Tucker for that were saying you just didn't even do any reading on his case before interviewing him. So you were asking him questions as if you literally didn't know anything. You allowed him to get away with skirting around the truth and omitting facts about the case and the charges. Tucker failed as a journalist in that situation. Andrew Tate, according to his fans who were disappointed in him, is hypocritical for associating with an OnlyFans whore because he often speaks out against these influences in the West. And here he is not only debating her, but actually seeming to agree with her and bolster her points in this interview.
Early in the response to Tucker was people saying, why would you even give airtime to this dude?
Some people were saying, like, never speak to this person ever.
And the problem is what they don't understand is that when you work in the space and you live and die by views and internet attention, that they'll have a discussion with anybody, because they're, in a lot of ways, they're kind of, they'll eat anything. They'll consume anything. They're omnivores. They'll literally work with anybody if it means increasing their brand, because they're not loyal to you. They're loyal to the largest subset of audience that will continue to watch their material. It's a hazard of working in that profession. And when you sell sincerity and a message, you're going to end up contradicting yourself if that comes into conflict with the idea that you need to go wherever the next biggest set of views are. In this case, it's with her.
Overall, I'm not surprised by any of this. And I think it's kind of funny to watch Andrew Tate's fans having a meltdown over it, because clearly they hadn't done an ounce of research into Andrew Tate to think that he's some kind of moral paragon and he has values that would prevent him from doing something for fame and attention like this. It's just... It's embarrassing for them.
The level of nihilism that you see in interviews like that, I caution against consuming large amounts of it, even if it's coming in the form of intellectualism and trying to push back against it, because it will have an effect on your mindset over a long period of time. At least it does to me. When I consume too much nihilistic media over too long of a period of time, it affects my state of mind, and it's not good for anybody.
Definitely has an effect on me to watch entertainment that is has a nihilistic message, a movie or a TV show that has a nihilistic message, which is most of them on offer now.
Yep. All right, let's go to Super Chats. I used to point that out all the time when I would watch House. Like, if you watch too much of it at once, it literally is so nihilistic at times that you have to turn it off.
You become House?
You become, I mean, not just him, but he ends up, all the other characters end up much in the same way, becoming nihilists like him. And it will affect your view of humanity if you let too much of that into your life in any form of media.
That just makes him not special anymore. If they make all the other characters have the same worldview.
Yeah, but they're not as smart as, like, he's a lot. It's actually worse for them than it is for him, because his nihilism is allowed because it's the kind of fantasy of, he's so competent at what he does that he can be awful and people still need him. Other people are not that special, therefore their nihilism can be rebuked and thrown away.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Wednesday, Brett and Mary. After yesterday, I have Labubu haunting my algo. I threw my phone in holy water to be safe and dried it in blessed rice." Well, yeah, if you dunk your phone in holy water, it doesn't even damage the phone. A lot of people don't know that.
Is blessed rice a thing?
I mean, I guess you could get some rice and, like, get a priest to bless it, so.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. Sorry about the Labubus haunting you, but it's just what they do. Shane H. Wilder said, "Katy may be crazy, but knocking a Labubu doll out of a fan's hand while eating Tim Tams on stage was justified. Tim Tams are the ish." I think I've tried those. I'm not totally sure, but those little cookies, the chocolate covered cookies that they have there, impeccable.
Never, it's all about the non-aggression principle. Don't hit anything out of their hands if they didn't ask you to hit it out of your hands, Katy. If they didn't ask for you to knock the Labubu out of their hands, then leave it alone.
Why?
Because it's not hers. Therefore, it's rude.
No. That's such a strange hill to die on. Assault Labubus.
Do not assault
whether or
the
not
Labubus.
They're being held by a human being. I'm serious. I'm so serious. Like, just light them on fire.
Let's do two more.
Wyatt Kaldenberg said, in 1963, The Singing Nun had a #1 pop hit for 6 weeks titled Dominique. It was about Saint Dominique and sung in French. We used to sing it in public schools. American culture has really fallen. I had no idea who that was or what that song was. I've never heard that in my life.
In the chat.
There was also a time when Fulton Sheen got multiple Emmy Awards. I was thinking about that earlier today.
Who?
Fulton Sheen. It was basically the first televangelist.
Oh.
And he was a Catholic priest.
And he got what?
He got multiple Emmys for his
wins or nominations?
Wins.
What were the categories?
I'm not sure, but his show was called Life is Worth Living, I believe. Good
message. Unless the message is like, give to my church so that life can be worth living.
I don't think that was the message.
then I'm look, we were talking about nihilism. I'm down for the opposite.
It's funny though, because when you hear about televangelists, you don't associate it with Catholics. You usually would associate that with Protestant pastors at mega churches.
Yeah.
But he had maybe the most successful show. Shane H. Wilder said, the singing nun fell a lot harder. She left the religious order to become a lesbian, had loss of faith, then OD'd with her gay lover. Kinda effed up. Damn.
Mm.
That is kind of effed up and sad.
That is. Let's hold off on the rest and we will come back. Let's move on.
Sadly, American women are reaching levels of botched plastic surgery, Botox, and filler once thought only possible in Britbong. So I didn't know that Love Island expanded to the U.S. They have just put out a new season of Love Island USA, and all of the contestants have been revealed. And one of them, named Vanna, is being raked over the coals for her cosmetic work, which a lot of people find disturbing, shocking, and a disservice to what would have been her natural beauty. I want to show the photo of her, the airbrushed version that they revealed in the cast. So this is Vanna. She was born in 2004.
She's 21,
yeah,
going on 45.
I'm actually guessing that they had to make the minimum age 21
drinking age,
in the US, not the UK version. So yeah, she's 21 years old. And it's just absolutely crazy for someone born in 04 to look like that. And it's even worse when you look at her on video or in unedited photos. By comparison, it's even more disturbing how aged she is by the work that she's gotten on her face. So this is a clip from the show where she's talking to a guy who's 23, and yet she looks 20 years older than him.
Yeah.
Wait, how old are you? Sorry, I'm just thinking of like the basics. Like I don't even know basic things about you.
Oh yeah, it's true.
23?
No. Damn, how do you know?
Wait, are you actually?
God damn.
This is the level of
you reading mine?
intellectual
I can't, so don't
conversation
lie
that they're
to me.
having on Love Island.
I don't lie. I'm pretty honest.
Really?
See, it's not Bonnie Blue's fault that women are going to hell. It's Love Island's fault.
Or are you lying?
I'm lying. No,
Okay.
I'm honest as I swear. How old are you?
I'm 21.
21.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, you're a baby.
I'm definitely not an old soul. Like
He
at all.
was surprised to hear
You like scroll on
21.
TikTok all day?
I like doom scrolling. Wait, how old?
Okay.
So she's a Zoomer, but she looks like a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
There were several mean tweets going viral about her plastic surgery. One said, Vanna on Love Island looks like that doll from Saw. I'm sorry. Y'all aren't going to gaslight me into thinking that filler is attractive.
But we were told the same thing that Madonna looks like.
I mean, that's kind of what they all end up looking like once they take it too far.
Yeah.
It just settles in all the same places. And then another one said, Vanna is 21. What the F? Are we joking? She looks like she's going to stab someone in the villa when the purge alert goes out. She does look like the purge mask. And that's even in the edited photo of her.
Yep.
Another take was that she's catfishing on Instagram. You can see stills from the show compared to what she posts online. There's a stark difference. And even on Instagram, of course, you can tell that she's totally fake, but she has edited these photos immensely. And look at that second photo. Look at that right there. That is crazy. Someone pointed out everyone focused on the lip filler, but it's really the chin filler that's the real villain.
Yeah, she's got a Jay Leno chin going.
That chin. And it's because usually when a girl is like new to getting fillers in her face, she'll first go for lip filler.
Mm-hmm.
But what the esthetician is going to sell her on next is getting chin filler to make it match with the size of the lips. Because if you get bigger lips, your chin's going to look too small in comparison. So you have to get the chin filler, but which means you have to get the jaw filler, and you have to get the cheek filler, and you have to keep going and going and going until you look like Madonna.
So that's why all our photos are taken straight on.
Might be. Yeah, it looks like all of the filler in her chin just got dragged down by gravity.
Yeah.
It's just like almost falling out of her face at this point. Another one said, that's a hard 21. I need these babies to leave filler alone for real. Another one said, all right, Islanders, for your next challenge, everyone is going to take acid and stare at Vanna until you get scared. I don't have to take acid to get scared of that face. And I don't even say it to put her down. I'm sure she was taking these measures because she was deeply insecure and also surrounded by women in real life and women on social media who were doing the same thing, and people just hop on a bandwagon. But it's gotten to a point where even the showrunners of Love Island have noticed it going too far, and they had to issue a statement discouraging people from cyberbullying this girl. They said in a statement posted today, we appreciate our fans, the passion for the series, and the amazing group of Islanders who are sharing their summer with us. Please just remember they're real people, so let's be kind and spread the love. Friendly reminder to our Love Island USA family.
They don't mean any of that. That's antithetical to their business model. Like, to a level I can't even put into words. Being kind to these people is not what they want. They have to say that probably for legal reasons in case something bad happens. Reality TV lives and dies on conflict and bringing out the absolute worst in people that are already predisposed to doing anything for fame.
Yeah, I think that maybe putting out the statement, Streisand affects it a little bit, and now people are going to go searching for the negativity when otherwise they would have been oblivious to it.
Yep.
But they kind of had to issue a statement and started scrambling because it does introduce a liability, perhaps.
Yep.
Although there is a new conversation about cyberbullying because of a YouTuber that ended her life recently. She was cyberbullied by a lot of people, and allegedly that's the reason why she took her life. And she was known for owning a fox rescue. What was her name? Michaela. Yeah. So, like, people have been talking about the effects of cyberbullying and, you know, should these people be in trouble for what they've said about this person or to this person online? And I think it just reveals there is a portion of the population who can be relatively unaffected by it. And there's a portion of the population who almost are so sensitive to online criticism that they don't differentiate the voices of other people from their own.
Interesting.
And then there's most people, which is somewhere in the middle. It's like, you know, a spectrum of how you react to that type of thing. And there's not a right or wrong to it. It's just part of who you are. It's part of your personality. And I don't think that these people who are saying mean things about this girl, Vanna, would be responsible if, you know, perhaps she did something to herself over it, or if she had made the decision to, like, sue the producers for this. The producers wouldn't be liable because they didn't issue a statement either.
Human beings are can be extremely evil. And I'll give you an example of what I was looking at today. A player in what was his name? This dude who in pro baseball, he plays for the Diamondbacks. A fan said something really mean about his mom who died in 2017. He was like crying on the field. Okay. And that guy was banned for life from the stadium. I think the guy played for the Diamondbacks. The point is when stories started covering it, the first thing that people responding did was, what's his at? Let's ruin his life.
Oh my gosh.
Because what they want is the morally justified reason to be awful to someone.
Right.
What that guy did was abhorrent. Should never have been done. And he had, and the team had every right to ban him from the stadium for doing something like that. And where do you draw the line? Because players have to take a lot of abuse from, you know, fans of the opposite team. You know, tell them then they suck. You're awful. They want to throw them off their game. It's actually part of sports. The first thing I thought of, ironically, was like, this is the first time I remember something like this happened that didn't have anything to do with race or gender. It was just somebody being awful about somebody's mom dying. But everyone in the comments was looking for that morally justified reason to be awful to a person so that they could take on the exact impulse that this guy had, but feel right in doing so.
Feeling righteous about
Yes.
it, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's just something you're never going to escape. There's no amount of anti-bullying campaigns or statements or hashtags that are going to stop people from engaging in those vices.
Dingus Khan says, no surprise, it was a White Sox fan. They're the worst. There you go.
Well, let's just pile on more. Yeah.
It was, I mean, I just feel like that's the way people are. They're just looking for, I think that's why, not to drag it into politics, I think that's why progressivism is so enticing to a lot of people. It's because it does allow them to be awful to people for the vague purpose of a better world. Because they're sold this idea that they're changing the world. Therefore, your ability to treat other people like shit is justified morally. You can be awful. And that's a big part of it these days.
And I also, in this example, think it's definitely possible to have a conversation about these cosmetic procedures going too far and advising against it and using her even as an example of it without dragging her into it as a person and aiming to be as hurtful as possible because she is reading this stuff.
The problem is what you have to do now if you're Vanna or somebody who wants to be an influencer or somebody who wants to make a career on social media. Gone are the days of being the mainstream celebrity who can be firewalled off from this stuff because you have a publicist and an agent who reads the comments and cycles through that stuff. Now, if you're going to go into work and you have to engage with your audience. You have to look at this stuff.
That's true.
You're less effective if you don't. I don't read the comments, and I'm less effective for not doing that on this channel. Like that's a problem in a lot of respects. I don't even like when people don't even really say mean stuff to me on X, but I mute all notifications as soon as I'm done so that I don't get the dopamine hit of new notifications. I will go back through and read some of those threads most of the time, but I don't want my phone constantly dinging with people engaged with your stuff.
I mute notifications for all of the people that I don't follow. So unless it's somebody that I actually know or follow, I'm not going to see any communication from them.
It's a hard, and the people who are the best at it in this space thrive on the conflict, thrive on the discontent.
That is true. And I don't want to lean into that part of me because I mean, I feel like it's something that you mostly grow out of. Like I loved getting into, little debates and arguments and fights with people online for years. I loved doing that.
Maybe it's just me, but when I like, if I had another channel, I would love to have a channel called Mute Notifications, where it's you just find people arguing online and go back and forth with their arguments. But the point is like when I read that stuff, all I can think about is how in 30 years, he won't remember any of this, despite the fact that he's probably calling the person he's fighting with the worst slur or the worst name you could ever heard of. He'll never remember this. The other guy won't remember any of this. All it did was take time away from his job, time away from his family, time away from something that would be more constructive in his life. That's free will, I guess. But again, those people have to be primed to want to engage with that. If you want to go and be on Love Island, you're going to have to learn to be born into the fire.
Well, I will say there could be a silver lining to all of this if Vanna sees these comments and really assesses what she's done to her appearance. Because there is an increasing trend of women getting their fillers dissolved and aiming to go back to their natural appearances. And I think she had a great canvas to start with, and she probably should attempt to take people's advice, even if it's being put in a cruel way. That's my take.
Unfortunately, the thing is, though, is that's almost like if I'm her, like you don't want to do it.
Oh, yeah, it's going to make you feel spiteful. It's going to make you feel
being
like
cruel,
going even further in the opposite direction. But
that's how people are programmed.
If you can pause it and if you can divorce your emotions from it for a second, maybe they have a point. And they do. I'm sorry, but the mean people have a point. They often have a point that's hidden underneath all of the insult. They do have a point, and the truth is, this girl has ruined her face. And she should actually listen to the people who are pointing it out, because she's gone blind to it.
Yep. Unfortunately, that has to come from somebody you actually, whose opinion, like the worst part is like you end up being so hurt by people that don't actually matter to you, when it's the opinions of people who you actually care about that you should take into consideration.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Love Island specifically. I mean, I know lots of people on TV have fillers these days, but Love Island attracts the absolute most extreme cases. Yeah. And there are a lot of girls, like sometimes in the UK in their late teens or early 20s, that look like decades ahead of that. Like it's, and you worry, like, is that something they can even fix at that point? Like, that's honestly medical malpractice.
Comatose says women can't take constructive or deconstructive criticism. Dudes have no choice but to at least evaluate how correct it is. Online, I don't even know if there's that much of a distinction. Online, everybody is a self-important woman that can't necessarily take constructive criticism.
Ooh.
How often?
I won't say on what, but I have gotten both constructive and deconstructive criticism in comment sections, and I did eventually implement.
I remember that. Yeah, you talking about that. So here's the thing, though. Like, how many times have you seen people get into like a fight online where a guy says something that's not meant to be mean, or even agrees with the person, but people are so defensive they start calling that person names, and then the person's like, "Bro, I was agreeing with you. What are you talking about?"
Yeah,
like,
because they want you to disagree, and you're like, "No, I literally am just echoing the same point that you made." And they're like, "No!" Like people are truly becoming quite deranged.
This is why I'm happier off X this week, because
good for you.
It makes my job mildly harder, but in general, you're like,
I do enough doom scrolling for the both of us.
For instance, like last night, I started making Olivia watch Arrow. I love the first 2 seasons of Arrow. I like season 3 and I love season 5. And she's not a fan of superheroes, but my ability to like focus on something while watching it now, so back that I'm not doom scrolling on X while doing. I'll still like catch myself doom scrolling on Instagram a little bit, but since Instagram requires me to have the audio on to watch skits, it's something you can't really do when you're doing something else. So I was like making her watch, and I was like, I'm like actually watching the episodes for once and not just looking at my phone and listening to it.
See how easy that was.
Just get off the internet for a little bit and recalibrate people. All right, let's go Super Chats.
Dingus Khan said, but what about the USS Liberty?
That's a fantastic question. Maybe I'll answer that tonight on Timcast IRL.
Oh, can't wait.
That's what I should do.
Buckle up,
like,
guys.
at some point tonight, should I just non sequitur to like, so what do you guys think about the USS Liberty?
Like, if everyone stops talking for a second, if there's like a lull in the conversation, just be like, so, that USS Liberty, huh?
So, did we ever find out, like, that, like, with that, the dancing Israelis, like, whatever happened with all that stuff?
You have to coordinate it with Tim so that he makes sure he really awkwardly stops the conversation. And then
just drop it in there.
You know people are going to clip it from the live stream and be like, look at Tim shutting it down!
And then, like, Timcast can, like, put it on the Timcast News X account.
Yeah.
Like, why did he ask something so strange yet so brave?
I think there was actually a clip where Ian said something about the USS Liberty, and Tim did change subjects, but I think that he was planning to do that anyway.
It was at the end of the... I mean, that was like me and... like I do that sometimes where, like, I know Tim... If you do the show, you understand when Tim wants to move to the next segment because he's starting to look up to the monitor. I can tell. I can always clock when he's ready to. Sometimes I have a point to make and I will end up making it anyways and just cut him off before he can do that. So maybe what you do is, instead of making a point at the end when you know he's looking to move to the next topic, you're like, so how about that USS Liberty?
And he's like, we're gonna get into this next story,
and they're like, oh, clearly
it's a conspiracy. Adam said, make asylums great again. I don't know what that's referring to exactly, but agree. Wholeheartedly agree. Shane H. Wilder said, 4th generation dream prophet, a 2nd generation baby psychic, and 1st generation full of shitist.
I mean, it's fish
That's
tank,
a triple whammy.
So
Well, I mean, yeah, they are attracting these types.
Is he a third generation at anything? That's the real question.
Yeah, why did he skip one? That's weird. So this is also from Shane. So 2 nihilistic narcissists fighting to see who gets the viewing pool. I mean, it worked out for both of them. They both benefited from it.
Look, there's plenty of people on the internet who might not be as nihilistic as everything you just watched, but are definitely very much interested in their views and how far their reach is, not necessarily actually, feeding you good content. That's why I laugh all the time and tell you that this should be your favorite background noise. I'm not here to give you anything useful. Mary might be here to give you something useful, but I have no such lofty ambitions. Kill a couple hours of your day.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Life is Worth Living is amazing. I'll watch old episodes on YouTube and they still hold up today. It beat Meet the Press for Best Public Affairs Program." Okay, I knew it won. It won. It wasn't just nominated. Yeah, he's kind of the GOAT.
Let's do one more, and then we'll move on. Guys, we're like 3/4 of the way to a crisis party. Almost.
Culture Casino?
Yes, Culture, what's up?
Hi. Said, there should be a law you must be 50 or older for plastic surgery. Everyone else is younger, must be for reconstruction. Change my mind. 50 is quite old, but I mean...
40 is 40?
If we're talking about... things that are related to anti-aging, I do think that you should at least wait until your 40s to consider getting something like Botox. As for fillers, it seems to always go wrong unless it's extremely subtle.
Well, it has to be the ones, likely there's a lot of examples out there of ones that you just,
Yes.
like the best are the ones you don't notice, like good CGI.
Right, but for the most part, you're... better off waiting as long as possible.
My favorite was living in the delusion of watching TV on smaller monitors or even computer monitors when noticing CGI was a hell of a lot harder because we're watching on such a low resolution that it didn't stick out. Green screen gets way more apparent the nicer your TV is.
That's true.
So just live in the delusion. Buy a small monitor.
See, technology just creates more problems.
More problems. Let's hold off on the rest. We will come back after. Let's get to that crisis party, guys. Do it for Vanna. Come on.
For Vanna. Dakota Johnson's role in A24's Materialists this year has sparked a renewed interest in the matchmaking industry because in the movie, she plays a professional matchmaker in New York City. They show her interactions with her clients. It seems glamorous at first, but then you are very much let in on the downsides of that profession. But people are increasingly interested in this industry, not only working in it, but also in hiring professional matchmakers. And it seems like if you're one of the few people who can afford to be concierge through the dating world on a personal basis, you would rather choose that option than relying on dating apps or mere luck. And these are the richest, loneliest, most desperate people in the city who are hiring professional matchmakers, and they say business is booming lately because matchmaking isn't as stigmatized as it used to be, in part due to Hollywood's representation of it. One professional matchmaker named Bonnie Winston has founded her own agency, and she says that it's blowing up. She now charges clients as much as $150,000 for her services. I looked on her website, and they offer a free database where you can, it's database, get it? You can have access to a list of people who are actively single and searching for someone, but if you want the VIP experience, that offers custom packages of one-on-one consultations, full-time personalized scouting for you, and all of the connections that they already have. Pricing varies, probably depending on who you are and what you offer, and the type of detail-oriented work you're asking them to do.
I'm sorry. I have to put this comment in here. This is such a nice thing to hear. Josh Chandler says, I can't imagine using an app. I'm too social and actually like interaction. Godspeed, my friend.
You and very few other people in today's society, sadly. But I'm glad that you still feel
You make an alt-right
interaction is important.
Data-based.
Right? Yeah. Go tell the guy who started the Right Stuff app.
I forgot about
What's
that.
his name? John McEntee. But this matchmaker says her business has grown exponentially in the last few years, and she's witnessed a ton of new matchmakers enter the industry. My clients are billionaires and multi-millionaires. They have success in all areas of life except love, and they don't want to be alone. This reminds me of the Wall Street Journal article that we referenced yesterday about American women giving up on marriage. I think a lot of these high agency, overachieving, high IQ women, especially living in urban areas, are approaching dating in the entirely wrong way, where it's about efficiency and it's about getting your numbers up and evaluating people as if it's a job interview, which totally gives them the wrong vibe. And they reference one of these women that they interviewed named Katy. She spent the first half of 2024 going on 3 or 4 dates per week. Per week.
How do you expect any of that to actually track unless, like, I guess is the idea that you were expecting one of them to go so well that it would just wash over you and you'd cancel the other ones?
At that point, you don't even have the ability to process any of the interaction with that volume. So she was going on 3 to 4 dates a week with men that she met on apps like Hinge and Bumble in the hopes of finding a husband before turning 30. But by the end of the year, she ramped down her search, saying it's the only thing you can put 10,000 hours into and end up right where you started. That should say there's something wrong with your approach, not with the dating world in general. There's plenty to complain about that isn't to do with you, but you were approaching dating like it's a job and a chore, and they could probably tell that you didn't want to be there and that it was all about ticking off a box.
Yeah.
And if they don't feel a personal connection, you're going to have a 0 success rate. So that's probably why, in my theory, a lot of these city-dwelling rich people need professional matchmakers to do the dirty work for them, because they are high achieving in their careers and they just assume that the same approach is going to work in the dating world, and that's not true. But these matchmakers are willing to make up the difference for them. This matchmaker also mentions that in 2022 she held an industry party for people in her profession. 90 people showed up, and then this year it was 165. So as the amount of loneliness increases, the amount of professional matchmakers will increase alongside it.
I disagree highly with this part about post-COVID, people just forgot how to... She's basically saying that, well, COVID happened and people forgot how to flirt.
Right.
Look, that's not a thing.
Well,
you might be
this
rusty
is,
for, like, if you were naturally good at it beforehand, you don't just lose that skill set. That's insane.
Right, of course. I agree with them completely, but they're taking the blame off of their clients because they don't want their clients to feel like they are projects. And this is actually a comment from another one who owns her own agency, her own matchmaking service called Project Soulmate. She said, post-COVID, people are sick of the apps, the fakes, scams, Tinder swindlers, the crazies, and people who are valuing love a little more. She says she charges as much as $120,000 for her services.
Am I supposed to believe that people are, like, somehow the value of love has somehow changed societally in, like, 4 years?
Well, it's not the value of love. It's how much you value your own sanity, and if dating is having a detrimental effect on your sanity, which I completely understand they would feel that way, but it also has a lot to do with how you approach it, and you can take accountability for that. She said people used to meet at work, but legally you can't do that anymore. That's not even true. Okay, I know HR has a grip on people these days, and there's a tyrannical force from HR in the workplace where people feel like they cannot get to know a coworker in a romantic context outside of work. But I think that as long as it's outside of work, I don't think you have much to worry about. So it's not like it's illegal, and it's only possibly against company policy, but usually that's not the case. And then they blame the pandemic, which has led to the boom in matchmaking services. Because of COVID, people feel like so many years of their life are gone and they want to make up for it. They're going to use every avenue they have available, as well as people forgetting how to flirt throughout COVID. You don't want to have to do something you're not good at because you fear rejection, she said. With a matchmaker, you know you'll be set up with someone who has been vetted, is actually single, and is also looking for love. So if you're set up on a date like this through an agency, you don't have to take a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you are taking a chance on whether or not this person will like you, but at the very least, you're not cold calling someone. You're not going up to someone at a bar and saying hello and introducing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to know a lot about you before they even show up. And at least on paper, they're already interested in you. So you don't have to take the risk, which is another thing killing romance these days. It's just how everyone is so risk averse. Mm-hmm. So I don't think this is helping anyone in real terms. People's flirting muscles atrophied and they don't know how to do it anymore. They just didn't know how to get back on the horse, which is why these matchmakers swooped in and said that they would fix all of these problems. And it tends to be mostly extremely wealthy people in the upper echelon of society who are interested in paying for these services. But I assume as time goes on, more people are going to turn to AI.
See, I want to see the progressives write an article about the how the wealth gap is affecting love and how eventually marriage will only be something for the rich, because they're the ones who can afford matchmakers. That's what I want to see. I want to see the intersectionalists' take on why high-end matchmakers is a capitalist nightmare.
I think it's quite telling that people who are ideologically left-leaning and upper middle class to just upper class, they have very, very different stated preferences compared to their revealed preferences. These extremely wealthy liberal people, they often tout the regressive nature of an institution like marriage, but they tend to get married and they tend to start families while they advise the rest of society not to follow in their footsteps. So that's a very common asymmetry that you see in both left-wing people and right-wing people. For instance, like right-wing people saying don't go to college, and then you go back into their history as a person and they've all gone to college, if not gotten PhDs.
Yep.
So these matchmakers are not just connecting people on dates, they're also helping people create their dating profiles. They have professional photography, and they also, if things go wrong, provide you with therapy sessions with a licensed psychotherapist who is matched up with these clients. She said, if there's a breakup or they're triggered or if something comes up that's above my pay grade, I include counseling sessions. She says her expertise more than justifies high prices and claims to have an 85% success rate.
Yes,
but her success rate is not marriage.
No.
Her success rate, she says, is where people fall in love and they are loved back. There is no way that you can measure that. So I automatically just don't believe anything you said.
That's why I called them grifters.
Then the other matchmaking agency, co-run by two women, say they have a 90% happiness rate. They say...
I love this next part. We outsource everything these days. People give their dry cleaning to the dry cleaners. They give their children to the nanny. Why not pay someone to find your love match?
Well, I guess if you can hire someone to raise your child for you, that means it's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And they also did not define how they come up with their happiness rate. They chose to not.
It reminds me
clarify.
of what the hell show was I watching where there was a matchmaker on it, and they were like, we match people with like a 50-point compatibility spectrum. The guy's like, but people have like hundreds of interests. Like 50 points is like nothing.
Well, I think like one of the messages of the Materialists movie was you can do all sorts of math about people and you can make accurate predictions about who will be compatible, sure, but math isn't everything, and you can't, at the end of the day, quantify what makes two people love each other because it doesn't make mathematical sense. One comment here said, only in a hellhole like NYC would people tolerate being abused monetarily at this level.
I saw that. That was the best comment there.
Oh, shout out to that guy. Who is that? H. Rourke. Shout out H. Rourke.
Mr. Rourke is very accurate.
But I have like kind of shat on these people. I do want to say I have nothing against matchmaking, blind dates, arranged relationships, arranged marriage in general, per se. I have nothing against those things. And I understand completely why it would seem appealing to put the control of the situation in trusted hands. However, in previous generations, those trusted hands would be your family members or members of your community or your church. They were not people that you paid to arrange dates for you. For instance, there's the stereotype of the Jewish yenta. And I found a definition: a talkative, nosy, or meddlesome woman. She's associated with being a gossip or a busybody. And the Jewish yenta is known for matchmaking people. Okay. And a lot of people sing the praises of a yenta because, yeah, she's nosy, but she actually has people's best interests at heart. And similarly, any member of your family is going to know you in all the breadth of context to know who you would be compatible with. That's why I don't think people should have such a negative connotation around arranged marriage, because in a way it's a spectrum of how arranged it is, and you might not be willing to admit that to yourself. I think you should trust someone you know to arrange a date, at the very least, more than an app. An app doesn't know you. Your friend knows you. Your mom knows you. I think you should outsource that to someone who cares about you and not a big tech corporation or someone making 6 figures off of you being single. Yeah. What incentive do they have to actually get you into a relationship?
I guess the first thing I thought of was like the high price of entry is supposed to be like a like some type of guard against well, if you paid this much one time, we don't need to get you to come back multiple times. Therefore, if they're charging $8 in a pack of gum, then obviously they need you to come back hundreds of times to make any money. But theoretically, if they charge a bunch of money the first time around, then they're making enough money per client that they would only need to be met once and then never. Like that was how my brain tried to steel man their argument, even though I still think it's bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that these people are getting taken advantage of. I think they are making unwise decisions with their money. I don't think they can be characterized as pure victims in all of this. Like, they know what they're doing. I think they're probably extremely successful, extremely wealthy people with very clear and present personality problems that have prevented them thus far in their lives from matching up with someone naturally. I love it.
I hope whoever was walking in the stairs earlier got scared right there.
Like, I'm just saying, think of the type of person you have to be to, spend $150,000 to get someone to put you on a date with someone. Like, that probably betrays that, although the service itself is prohibitively expensive for people who aren't serious, it is attracting people with very clear issues. Yeah. If you're that wealthy and that successful in your career, you're probably well connected socially, but you can't keep anyone around.
Yeah, you would think that just by virtue of the amount of high functioning, high achievement people in your life that you would like. How many of the people that marry rich end up marrying another rich person after? Because that's their friend. That's their friend group now.
Most, yes.
Right.
And they do address this in Materialists. It's not a very funny movie, but the comedic parts of it were showing Dakota Johnson's interactions with her clients, because they're showing why these people are single. They're insufferable, and they're making a bunch of entitled demands for who they're willing to go on a date with, even though they're the most desperate people in the dating pool, paying for a matchmaker. And Dakota Johnson just becomes so fatigued with them that she has a crisis and doesn't want to be a matchmaker anymore. But you can imagine the types of people in real life employing these services.
Well, yeah,
they're
because
probably
do you know why?
insufferable people.
Because they get to couch it in language like 85% success rate, which means literally nothing because there's no actual.
That's a high number.
There's no empirical evidence to tell me what a success unless it's marriage. Then I don't want to hear it. It's just some arbitrary. Do you give them like a quiz after the relationship ends? Like on a scale of 1 to 5, would you consider this relationship successful or unsuccessful? One, rating upwards, and then you run that through some type of algorithm. And I don't buy it. I don't buy that you're doing that. Maybe you are, but I don't.
No.
I don't believe it. So, all right, let's go to finish these super chats.
Culture Casino said, note to self, wind up my friend on social media.
Yeah, if you want to increase engagement.
Are you easily wound up?
Doesn't happen to me because I'm not on it right now.
Omega Red fan said, best friends fight forever. T-shirt idea. That sounds like a Happy Bunny shirt. I've just been like looking at all of those vintage Happy Bunny shirts. I love them so much. Do you remember those?
I don't know what those are.
It's like the little cartoon bunny, and it's saying like, you're ugly and it's funny. Like it just says like weird insults.
Bro, we are on different sides of the internet.
It's like a very condescending cartoon bunny that you wear on your shirt.
Sounds very 2000s.
It is. It kind of fell out of fashion. Kyle Dixon said, welcome to IRL. I'm Brett, and I want to know what Phil thinks about the USS Liberty.
Go!
That should be your intro today.
Maybe I will.
Can you please? I want to see it. Shane H. Wilder said, first time Mike Lerner and I talked online, he thought I was arguing with him when I was agreeing. He apologized, and now we're homies. Yeah, he does get into debates with people quite often, so I assume he's just like in that posture, like he's just expecting someone to come at him.
That's what I mean. Like the whole nature of being on X, where you have to share your hot take on something. If it's a hot take, you're automatically on the defensive because you know it's going to annoy someone.
Yeah.
So you're automatically just waiting for somebody to come back and tell you you're wrong.
You know what annoys me more is when someone thinks I'm saying something that I'm not saying. I don't know how else
So
to
what you're
explain
saying
that.
is?
Okay. Yesterday, I posted photos of Sabrina Carpenter, calling her the wartime pop star because she was wearing this retro 1940s outfit. And that's kind of her whole pin-up aesthetic. Yeah, because it was on my mind. And then I posted these photos, and all these comments were like, she's disgusting. Like, I didn't even say anything to insult her. I literally just made a reference point. And then a couple of people even said, you sound jealous.
What?
They acted like I was the one insulting her.
Yeah.
It was all the rest of them that were saying insulting things about her. And I was like, what do you mean?
The thing is, though, is like if you have anything positive to say, somebody has to come in and say something negative. If you have something neutral to say, it means negative automatically.
Yeah.
Like,
damn.
that's for instance, like when I posted my list of like here's 125 shows you should watch, people immediately started saying, why isn't this show in there?
Right. Like it's a personal affront to them that you didn't include their
I didn't put
show.
The Sopranos in it, so therefore, I should be damned to hell.
We have a 20 from the Manic Mustache. Late as usual, but apropos to the Lizzo beauty standards, Carpenter looks like the girl that would call you a creep. Sweeney looks like the girl that says, you're cute, but I already have a boyfriend. Good luck out there, buddy. Stay toxic, my friends.
I think that's a pretty fair characterization.
Is that the right thing to say if you want to reject a guy? Like, good luck out there, buddy?
I guess.
Does that go over well?
Well,
do they like being called buddy?
I guess
I'm taking notes.
She's supposed to be more like, is this supposed to be the guy's quintessential idea of like the girl who can hang out with the dudes and she's got a certain level of dude energy and that she's she could be a friend or a romantic interest?
That's gay.
Yeah.
I don't think that you should like want to date someone who acts like the same sex. Tate made a really good point the other day when he said that men oftentimes describing their ideal partner are describing a guy, and oftentimes women describing their ideal partner, they are describing a woman.
Yeah.
It's kind of bizarre. Like, I guess if you want to be gay, then go do that. It's totally acceptable these days. No one's gonna stigmatize you for it. If you're LGBTQ, he, we, she, they, them, go do that.
The other thing about your wartime pop stars, they made me think it was like people like depending on your personality type, it will just never come through online. I had like a post last week where I said they should make a movie about the guy in the Pentagon who orders the pizzas during crisis and the female anti-war activist who works at Domino's, and people it's such sarcasm on my point because that's the way my brain works. It's very dry, and by the time I posted it, people were like, that sounds like the gayest movie ever, and I'm like, they thought I meant it. Like they thought like I wanted to. Bro, that sounds like the gayest movie ever. And I was like,
and I'm super not gay.
Like,
and I know what cool movies are.
But then some people got it when I started giving the movie like ridiculous names, like War in 30 Minutes or Less. Like I'm very clearly kidding.
Yeah.
Right. But other people were like, yeah, you're not straight.
That sucks. Your idea sucks, Brett.
Your sarcasm, your sense of humor will never come through online unless you bang it over the head. And I'm not putting tone indicators. I'm sorry.
Hell no.
This is an anti-tone indicator podcast.
Yeah. At least that we can agree on. Yeah. Absolutely not. Never going to use the /s to tell you that I'm being sarcastic. Leave me alone. Luscious Lucian said, I will say for the crisis party, I would say meh, but why not use the EDM music from the No Feelings chick from the Cringe? Her music was bumping.
Because I like this one better, and it was easier to edit this one.
No Feelings?
The one from the Cringe of the Day where they turned.
Oh, you hurt my feelings. Yeah. I mean, that one
that's
could be in the future.
It's just feelings. That's just going to get repetitive after like 8 seconds. It's got to be at least 15 seconds.
This has a beat.
Yeah.
Say what you will about the new Crisis sound, but it has a good beat, and I'm a believer, so it's staying.
Kanye 2028 says, Brett says he hates snark, but snark is his natural mode of being. I hate snark in TV characters where snarkiness doesn't need to be. So I'm all for a girl boss character if the girl boss isn't needlessly snarky and annoying and it's treated with a sense of earnestness most of the time. I give more leeway there. Or for instance, I liked Ballerina despite the fact that she's not a Mary Sue, but she's definitely a girl boss that takes a ton of pain and punishment that no human being could ever take, let alone a woman, because the movie plays it 100% straight, and she doesn't snarkily talk about men. She even kicks a dude in the nuts in the movie, but she doesn't then talk down to him or something after doing it, where it feels like you can see the writing of a feminist within the context.
She's just like writing it as a placeholder for her ex-boyfriend, or her dad.
So there's a little bit of a contradiction there, and snarkiness makes more sense online, but it's more in the television shows and movies when it comes through that I don't like it.
We have another 20 from Francisco Sanchez Jr. Happy birthday to me, future happy birthday and nuptials to my fellow Cancer. Oh, hi, Mary. Hello.
Yes, that would be me. I am a Cancer.
That's your future happy birthday.
Yes.
What do you want for your birthday?
I have no idea.
What do you want most in the whole wide world?
At least 10 crisis parties at work. That's what I want.
Okay.
That's.
I think that we can get that done. Am I right, crisis
that
actors?
Would be next Wednesday. Is my birthday. Mm-hmm. So. And my birthday wish is to make it alive to my wedding and then live a long, healthy life after that.
Fantastic.
With my wife.
Wyatt Kaldenberg said, every girlfriend and every job I've ever had, I met or got through my friend group. Never applied for a job, no meeting women at bars, nor dating services. People need to go outside and meet people. Yeah, I mean, most people that need to hear that advice the most, they're the least receptive to it, sadly. They want to have someone else or some system to blame and never look at their own behavior. Mm-hmm. It's getting really tiresome. Like, people ask for dating advice only as an excuse to just complain about dating and tell you why all of your advice is useless. And at that point, it's like, why try? Okay. I mean, I guess it's doomed. I guess you're going to be alone forever. Fine. Like, that's why you give someone tough love so they can correct you and say, no, maybe it is worth my time. But yes, this is solid advice, Wyatt. Adam said, is it a full refund if no marriage? Sadly, no.
I mean, that would be great if they had like a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Nope, no money-back guarantee. You're just out of luck. Shane H. Wilder said, Brett doesn't know the joys of Happy Bunny. Next, he'll say he never heard of Happy Tree Friends. Wait, what's Happy Tree Friends?
I don't know what that is either.
I must have missed this one. But the Happy Bunny shirts were everywhere in, like, the late 2000s.
Maybe I saw it and I just don't know. I don't remember it.
Okay, I'm looking at the Happy Tree Friends, and I don't think I've ever seen this before. I'm out of the loop. Pop Culture Junkie said, of the people that I've known that used expensive matchmakers, they all had 2 traits. 1, lack of self-awareness. 2, ridiculously unrealistic standards. Yeah, those tend to be hand in hand. What do we have here?
I looked up Happy Bunny.
I just love these things.
I've never seen these.
What do these say? I can't read it.
This one says, let's focus on me.
That's one of my favorites.
I just don't listen.
Amazing.
Not listening. Literally,
He's covering his ears.
Like, literally, I would have hated every person wearing this shirt. I would have been like, you suck.
But I love it.
Can't kiss, you're icky. Hi, loser. You suck, and that's sad. I hate you so bad.
These are amazing.
Okay.
I just love that little bunny. He's so sassy. I'm surprised, Pop Culture Junkie, I'm surprised that you have personally known people to pay for expensive matchmakers and they told you about it? They weren't too embarrassed to tell you that?
No, it's like back in the day when you'd watch TV shows and they'd be like, I'm using a dating. They're like, I'm online dating. This is before your time.
Weird.
But if you watched like TV shows in the early 2000s, it was the universal sign that you had given up and you were on your last gasp to not die alone if you were online dating.
There were some residual attitudes like that in MTV Catfish. Which started in, I think, maybe 2009. People still thought online dating was super weird until at least, like, 2012.
Probably later.
If not later.
Probably later than that. Right? Mm-hmm. It would be a sign that they were just at the end. They'd given up.
It's funny because people ask Matt Walsh how he met his wife, and he actually met his wife in the 2000s on eHarmony, I believe.
That's crazy.
Which used to be, I think, a Christian dating site.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
But I don't know if it is. It never seems like it was explicitly for Christians.
The funniest version of this is like Matt Walsh. They need to do like a time traveler steps on a twig, and it's Matt Walsh just silently judging everyone on dating sites. There's a big super chat there. I
have no idea what that is.
But thank you.
It says, Brett, you are an inspiration for me to stay on the right path. Mary, when I see you, I am reminded life is beautiful and worth living after all. Take care, guys. Thanks for the entertainment.
Always happy to help. Thank you.
Hi, praise. Thank you.
What is SEK? Is that South?
Let me look it up.
I feel like we've seen this one before.
It's supposed to be
South Korean?
Swedish.
Swedish. Oh, thank you.
Wow, we have a Swede watching right now.
Thank you. I'm always, if you're not in America, I do always love when people are like, I'm in Australia, I'm here. I'm like, wow. Like, I'm pretty sure we've made fun of Australian and British accents enough that you think everybody would have tuned us out by now.
Not sorry, though.
But
don't take any
we love you guys. It's not meant to be mean.
I'm standing on business.
But if everybody gets to make fun of fat Americans, then we get to make fun of stuff from other people as well.
It's only fair.
Oh, never mind. I can't tell that story here. It was an inappropriate skit. I'll tell you about it later.
Okay. Shane H. Wilder said, Mary, remember the golden rule when it comes to comments. People on the internet are tarded or gay, or tarded and gay.
No, the point is that they want a reaction. Like, the only reason to be needlessly rude to somebody you don't know personally is because you want to get a reaction out of them.
Well, I think more often than wanting the reaction, they also want other people to hit like on their comment.
Yeah.
They want the likes.
They're like, this is the I disagree button.
Basically, yeah. Like, I think they don't even care sometimes whether or not you reply, as long as other people in the comments like the comment.
The craziest thing the craziest thing I ever see is when people leave a comment on a video that gets tons of likes, and then they edit the comment. They're like, wow, thanks for the likes.
Oh, yeah. It's like, what is wrong with you? Like, why do you care? Unless, wait, don't you get like money from it if it's on Reddit?
It normally happens on YouTube where I see this, where somebody's
I've seen it on YouTube.
Like somebody's
as well.
like, and it's not even negative comments. It's like they leave a nice comment about somebody.
They're like, OMG, thanks guys.
Yeah.
Hate it. Pop Culture Junkie said, best all-time snarky character, Veronica Mars.
She is, okay, so maybe it's because, and theoretically that shouldn't work for me because I didn't see Veronica Mars when it aired. I saw it years later. Her snark bypasses that side of my brain, and I love that character.
What's the secret?
I don't know what it is about her snark, because I guess they also allow her to be vulnerable at points too, and her story is tragic given the backstory about the party and the essay, and she has a fairly tragic story, which makes her somebody that you can sympathize with.
Sure.
And that actress, Kristen Bell, she does great in that role. And the other characters are kind of the same way. You know, like, I love that show. They took it off Hulu. Only season 4 is on. Only like the 2019 season is on there. I don't want to watch the 2019 season. I don't want to see old Kristen Bell as Veronica. Not to be mean to her, but I don't want to see old. She's not old. I don't want to see old Veronica Mars.
Yeah, we know what you meant.
Kristen Bell is exactly the age she's supposed to be.
We know exactly what you meant.
You're ageist.
Just dug yourself your own grave. Shane H. Wilder said, Happy Tree Friends were fluffy cartoon forest animals that took the snark of Happy Bunny to another level. They had online cartoons in the 2000s. I think the name of it is familiar to me, but I wasn't really on the internet until, 2008. My best guess. Manic Mustache said, met my first baby mama IRL, met my new baby mama online. Fingers crossed the second one keeps. I have a happy tree friend tattooed on me, the skunk.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you should marry you should
get married.
Baby mama. I mean, either one, I guess, if they're both baby mamas by now.
I'm very excited to get married. It's coming up quick too.
That is exciting.
Like very not.
It is coming up quick.
I can't give the actual date, but yeah, it's coming up quick.
You can't give the actual date?
Well, no, we don't want the actual. Well, I mean,
that's a good idea.
People will end up knowing because I won't be here for a period of time,
well,
leading up to and then the wedding. But yeah, it's we were doing all sorts of stuff regarding it last night.
Thank you.
Stand on business.
Stand on business at the beach. That always just lifts my spirits. JJ said, Mary, black or pink toenails, show dem feets. You will not be seeing anything. Yeah, no. Shane H. Wilder said, SEK is Swedish kroner.
Thank you.
Also, never mind, you got it right after I chatted. Yeah. Pop Culture Junkie said 4% of marriages in the U.S. came from eHarmony. That is wild. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of big. I mean, that's what their marketing should be.
Yeah.
I can actually tell you why it's not. Is because they're going to assume people are stupid.
Right, because they are.
Because
they are stupid.
Why aren't 50% of the people?
Why shouldn't it be 100? Why aren't they responsible for all of the marriages, though?
That doesn't make any sense.
That just means that they're bad at getting people to get married, though. Because the number is small. 4 is a small number.
It was like we were looking up, like I don't remember, like me and Olivia were going mini golfing, and we get into the most random discussions when we go for any length of drive, and we were talking about where the psychology comes from, why gas stations like label their prices like 9/10. So it's like gas is $2.19 and 9/10, and it's
who even looks at that?
Like, I have no idea.
No one looks at that number.
I was like, I was annoyed that I didn't have the answer off the top of my head because I worked, like I literally, it was like, it had to have come up at some point when I was working at a gas station. Also, one thing that I think about is, you know how you hear the theory, it's like, you know the world's a simulation because you've never seen your neighbors take their groceries out of their car?
I've definitely seen them take the trash out, but I haven't seen them take the
also, there isn't
in.
unless you carry the garbage can out like this, there is no masculine way to wheel the garbage bin out to the side of the street. I watched a TV show where a character
I don't think there's anything effeminate about it.
I was watching an episode of like Blue Bloods, and Danny like wheels the little garbage can out and sets it down. I'm like, bro's like a cop carrying a gun and still looks effeminate doing this.
Is it better if you drag it behind you?
I get maybe that's what it is. But the point is, like, unless you carry that shit out with your hands, it's always gonna look good. But the point was, when I worked at a gas station, we didn't have like a digital sign, so we would have to go out and physically take the numbers off the thing with like the large.
That sucks.
And I always wondered about the cars driving by, if any of them remember that and think like, holy crap, that guy's actually doing that. Because multiple times recently I've been looking at like large sets of lights as they've turned on, which is also weird. Like I looked at like I was like staring off into the distance the other day and watched stadium lights turn on.
That's so creepy.
And that happens to me all the time. But I've never seen anybody changing the sign on the...
Well, yeah.
I have seen them late at night changing one of the signs on the freeway. Like where they put it up with the... but you don't see.
I haven't seen them changing the signs at the fast food restaurants, you know, with like the new menu item.
Yeah.
I never see them doing that either.
My favorite is the
It's fake. We live in a simulation, confirmed.
I lived so where I lived in West St. Paul, there was like an abandoned Burger King there that had been out of business for several years. The Taco Bell stole all their business and
Okay, W Taco Bell?
But if you went around back, the sign still had the old prices up there in the window. Like they literally abandoned it with the drive-through pricing still in the
and
thing.
It's all like pre-inflation. Yeah.
Shit it was easier back then.
Good shit. Adam said, end credit man, end credit man, end credit man. Yeah. No, he's not going to show up.
Josh Chandler says, the stick with the suction grippy thingy. Yes, that's how you change the number sign on there. And it was also not easy. It's very annoying.
Yeah, that's extremely annoying. That seems like might be the worst part of the job, especially in Minnesota.
I didn't have to do it as much because I didn't usually work mornings. That only happened if I ever got called in on a morning shift.
I see.
But not the best. All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. We did get a Rumble rant here. I did not see from Iron Comics says back in the day we called them madams.
I
mean, a madam is like the woman who like runs the escort ring.
Running a brothel, I think, is a lot different than, you know, running a matchmaking agency, but...
We also had
take there.
We also had a $5 Rumble rant. I don't know if I got to this one earlier from Modest Rat. Says, hey, Brent and Ghost Girl. Haven't tuned in a while. Here's some fun bucks for Taco Bell. Love listening to you during work. Do a lot of driving. Hey, that's great. I spend my life looking for new television and movie retrospectives to fill the 45-minute commute I have into work. I just finished the 6-part, 4-hour-long House retrospective that this guy made. That was great. And I watched an hour and a half one on The Shield the other day. That's really good.
Thank you, Modest Rat, for tuning in.
All right, Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at MaryArchived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived, and help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. Guys, want to follow me, Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. We're here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than watch the show, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which also helps us out a ton. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at PopCulture_show, Facebook at PopCultureCrisis, Instagram at PopCultureCrisisPod. Guys, we'll be back with another episode tomorrow. See you then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.